Imagine a classroom, a simple biology lesson, and a teacher explaining how humans evolved from earlier life forms. Now imagine that lesson leading to one of the biggest courtroom battles in American history, a trial where science itself was put on the witness stand, where religion, education, and freedom of thought clashed in front of the entire world. Welcome to the story of the Scopes trial, also known as the Monkey Trial, a courtroom showdown that wasn't just about one teacher, but about the future of education, belief, and modern science. The 1920s in the United States was a time of massive change. Cars were replacing horses, cities were growing rapidly, radios were bringing news into homes, and science was advancing faster than ever before. But not everyone was happy. Many religious groups believed modern science, especially the theory of evolution, directly challenged the teachings of the Bible. In particular, Charles Darwin's revolutionary book, On the Origin of Species, had become a lightning rod for controversy. Darwin's theory of evolution suggested that humans evolved from earlier species through natural selection, not created in their current form. To some, this was science. To others, it was heresy. In 1925, the state of Tennessee passed a new law called the Butler Act. This law made it illegal for public school teachers to teach any theory that denies the story of divine creation of man as taught in the Bible, which meant teaching evolution was now a crime. Yes, a crime punishable by law. And this is where a young teacher named John T. Scopes entered history. John Scopes wasn't a famous scientist. He wasn't even a full-time biology teacher. He was a 24-year-old substitute teacher in the small town of Dayton. One day, local businessmen and community leaders came up with a plan. They wanted to challenge the Butler Act in court. Why? Because they believed it hurt education and made their town look backward in the modern age. Scopes agreed to help. He admitted that he had taught evolution using a standard biology textbook. And just like that, he was arrested. What started as a local legal test quickly turned into an international media circus. Newspapers from across the world sent reporters to Dayton. Crowds gathered. Vendors sold monkey toys and souvenirs outside the courthouse. And radio stations began broadcasting trial updates live, something that had never been done before. This was no longer just a trial. It had become a culture war. The courtroom drama intensified when two of the most famous men in America joined opposite sides. For the defense, Clarence Darrow, one of the greatest criminal defense attorneys in U.S. history. He believed strongly in science and academic freedom. For the prosecution, William Jennings Bryan, a 3-time presidential candidate and passionate Christian fundamentalist. He believed evolution undermined morality and religious faith. Now the trial had become something bigger. Science versus religion, modernism versus tradition, future versus past. Inside the courtroom, tensions ran high. The prosecution argued that Scopes had clearly broken the law. The defense argued that the law itself was unconstitutional. Darrow wanted to bring scientists to the stand to explain evolution, but the judge refused. He ruled that scientific testimony was irrelevant because the law was about religion, not science. This angered Darrow, and what happened next would become one of the most legendary moments in courtroom history. In a shocking move, Darrow called William Jennings Bryan himself to the stand as an expert on the Bible. Under the blazing Tennessee sun, Bryan took the oath. Darrow began questioning him about biblical stories. Did Jonah really live inside a whale? Was the earth created in 6 days? Could everything in Genesis be taken literally? Bryan tried to defend his beliefs, but Darrow's relentless questioning exposed contradictions and raised doubts. The exchange was broadcast nationwide, and for the first time, religion was being questioned publicly in a courtroom. After days of intense arguments, the jury reached a decision. John Scopes was found guilty. He was fined $100. But the story didn't end there. The case was appealed to the Tennessee Supreme Court, and in 1927, the court overturned the conviction, not because the law was wrong, but because the judge had made a technical mistake in setting the fine. Even though Scopes technically lost the trial, the defense had won in the court of public opinion. Newspapers portrayed Bryan as outdated. Darrow became a hero to modernists, and the trial sparked a nationwide. The Scopes trial became one of the most famous legal battles in history. It inspired books, plays, and films like Inherit the Wind, and it forced America to confront a difficult question. Should education be guided by faith or by scientific evidence? Even today, debates about evolution and education continue around the world. But in 1925, one small-town trial changed everything. A teacher, a lesson, a law, and a courtroom battle that put science itself on trial. The Scopes monkey trial wasn't just about evolution. It was about the right to question, the freedom to learn, and the future of knowledge itself.